Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, an 11-year-old arrested at a Victoria middle school after triggering a false emergency response. Plus, a convicted child molester gets a life sentence, the plea deal that sealed his fate. And 27 lives lost prompt urgent safety reforms, how Texas plans to protect campers.
We've got a lot of sunshine out there and another warm day because no clouds, no rain. However, next few days looks like lots of clouds and lots of rain. All that coming up in a moment.
And top commitment happens for one top St. Joseph Flyers volleyball player. We'll highlight who this is later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker is on assignment. Law enforcement officers swarm a local business this afternoon near Salem and Navarro. A witness says someone entered a building with a gun. Both Victoria Police and Victoria County Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene, and we're waiting on both agencies to share additional details with us. So far, no word on any injuries or arrests. A convicted child molester will spend the rest of his life in prison. Rene Robert Garcia of Shiner was originally facing 87 counts of sexually assaulting a child. He pleaded guilty to 5 of those charges and was sentenced to life. As part of the deal, Garcia must also pay $5,000 to Victim Services in Lavaca County and follow a lifetime protective order, meaning no contact with his victims or anyone under 18. Under Texas law, a life sentence makes him eligible for parole after 40 years. An arrest at Cade Middle School this morning. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office says an 11-year-old boy made a statement claiming to have a weapon on campus. After investigating, no weapons were found. The student was arrested for making a false report to induce emergency response. Midcoast Family Services has received a generous donation to help feed those in need. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley has more.
Since FEMA eliminated the food budget from the Midcoast Family Services, Chief Executive Officer Jenny Stafford says she's had to make an adjustment to her budget, which affects how Midcoast is able to distribute their meals. But a $5,500 donation from the DTAR healthcare system will go a long way to help feed those in need at the Midcoast Resource Center.
Without a food budget, we were really in a pinch trying to figure out where to get that money from.
Midcoast Family Services provides 3 meals a day for more than 40 people each day. Before the assistance from DTAR, Stafford was faced with the possibility of cutting back on those everyday meals.
It just means the world to know that there are people out there that once they hear of a need, they were like, I can do that, I want to help. And it helps our bottom line, but it also helps our spirits. And it helps our client spirits to know that we've got good, nutritious, yummy meals, and that the community has stepped up to help make sure that that's available for them.
Midcoast Family Services' mission is to eliminate family violence and substance abuse, along with feeding those who are hungry. Stafford says the support received from DTAR can help them continue focusing on that mission. Ray Mosley, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
Traffic shifts are coming this week on the US 59, US 77 widening project between FM 446 and FM 236. Today, northbound lanes toward Victoria moved onto the newly rebuilt main lanes near the Business 59T overpass. Tomorrow, southbound traffic toward Corpus Christi will shift onto the new lanes south of Old Goliad Road. The $55.9 million project will expand the highway to 4 lanes and is set to wrap up by December of this year. A Calhoun County judge has blocked the school district from moving forward on a $242 million tax abatement for ExxonMobil. The district court granted a temporary injunction after environmental groups argued the district failed to give proper public notice before its April 29th vote. The order means the Calhoun County School District must post notice and hold a new public hearing on the ExxonMobil application. The company is proposing a $10 billion plastics facility near Keller Bay. Here are some of the top headlines in the Port Lavaca wave. The Calhoun County Commissioner's Court states its opposition to a newly passed Texas Senate bill, and Calhoun County will receive its first National Historical Marker. To read these stories and more, go to portlavacawave.com. And let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at your forecast. And Mac, we're kind of going back and forth here between sunny and hot, rainy.
Yes, it's exactly what's happening. Today was kind of a dry day, but we already have a line of showers from East Texas all the way across North Texas. You see it right there, right about there. And that is coming down into our area. It's north of I-10 right now, but it'll be over the crossroads for the next 3 days. It's a frontal system, but it's not exactly a cold front. It's more of a wind shift line. We'll be talking about that and the rain coming up in a moment. Back to you.
Parents of the Camp Mystic flood victims speak out at the Capitol for the first time as Texas lawmakers weigh safety reforms after the deadly floods. 25 News Now weekend anchor Amaya Norman joins us with more. Amaya?
Yes, the voices of grieving parents filled the Texas Senate today as families of the Camp Mystic flood victims pleaded for change. Parents of the young girls killed in last month's flooding in the Texas Hill Country spoke publicly for the first time today as lawmakers in Austin consider new safety rules for summer camps. On July 4th, 27 campers and 2 councils at the Camp Mystic died when floodwaters overtook their cabins in Kerr County. Parents share their heartbreak and frustration with lawmakers, urging them to strengthen safety standards at youth camps. Families of the flood victims have been meeting with lawmakers to push for reform.
Obvious common sense safety measures were absent. Protocols that should have been in place were ignored. As a result, my daughter was stolen from us. Seal's life ended not because of an unavoidable act of nature, but because of preventable failures.
In Senate Bill 1, the proposal will require all Texas camps to have emergency response plans for flooding, tornadoes, wildfires, and hurricanes. The proposal will prohibit camps from operating cabins in floodplains, require state-approved safety plans, and mandate training for staffs and volunteers. Camps will also need clear procedures to communicate with emergency responders, local officials, and parents during an emergency. The bill will be called the Heavens 27 Camp Safety Act, named after the 27 lives lost. Once it goes before the full Senate for a vote Thursday night, it'll end up on Governor Abbott's desk. It is also important to point out that Seal Stewart, one of the campers, has still not been found. Shauna, back to you.
This brings us to our viewer poll tonight. Who should be primarily responsible for camp safety standards? Is it the state government, the camp operators, or both equally? And 60% of you feel that the camp operators should be responsible, 29% both equally. So we'll see how this plays out in the legislature. But we want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to share. We'll have another look at these numbers on 25 News Now at 10. Tense moments at the Texas State Capitol in Austin. Tuesday evening, protesters were evacuated and moved away from the building after a reported possible threat closed the building and Capitol grounds. The evacuation happened moments before a planned protest was scheduled to start outside of the House chambers, where one lawmaker is refusing to leave after rejecting a requirement to be monitored by a Department of Public Safety escort. An anonymous caller contacted DPS Intelligence Center to report a concerning post on social media. Protesters continued to chant outside the gates. Here are some of the top headlines in the Cuero Record. DeWitt County Commissioners Court approved the 2025 tax rate. Adoption of the budget is next. And 4 local 4-H members competed at the Texas State 4-H Horse Show. To read these stories and more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com. Your news, weather, and sports is streaming 24/7 on CrossroadsToday.com. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, protests erupt over a new Texas immigration detention center as critics question the process and spending. Plus, the Epstein grand jury files remain sealed, why officials say safety outweighs transparency. People applying to live or work in the U.S. will now face questions about what the Trump administration calls, quote, anti-Americanism. Authorities say that includes an expanded social media check. They say immigration officers will look for, quote, any involvement in anti-American or terrorist organizations or, quote, evidence of anti-Semitic activity. Immigration advocates and lawyers are criticizing the move, arguing it could deter people from coming to the U.S. The largest deportation center in the United States has opened at Fort Bliss in El Paso, drawing protests and sparking debate over its role in the Trump administration's immigration policies. Harrison Parker reports.
We know that this is not being a transparent process. I mean, nobody was consulted. We're very concerned about the process. We're very concerned about the amount of money that is being expended of our taxpayer dollars.
Fernando Garcia is the executive director for the Border Network for Human Rights, the group who organized today's demonstration against the Trump administration's operation of the detention center at Fort Bliss.
People that is going to be housed here are going to be the people that is being detained in Home Depot, in the fields and construction sites. I think this is going to be immigrant workers being detained in this center.
The Department of Defense awarding $230 million in spending to increase capacity. The facility began operations with an initial capacity of about 1,000 beds, according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Federal officials say the site could eventually expand to hold up to 5,000 people. Last week, we reported that Immigration and Customs Enforcement said it had already begun accepting a limited number of detainees in preparation for the ramp-up. Supporters of the center include Texas's U.S. Senator John Cornyn, who spoke with us when he visited the borderland last week about the project.
These are humane, safe facilities, and in many instances a vast improvement over what many of these folks are used to.
Cornyn, who calls the facility Lone Star Lockup, says the people going through this facility are not innocent civilians.
I think it's really important for people to understand we're not talking about gardeners, housekeepers, or people like that. We're talking about as many as 291,000 individuals who are called criminal aliens, who are people either with criminal charges pending or criminal convictions.
Judge Richard Berman is denying a request from the Department of Justice to unseal grand jury material in the Jeffrey Epstein case. He says releasing the transcripts and exhibits could threaten victims' safety and privacy. The judge also pointed to a letter from 3 victims' attorneys warning that disclosure would directly impact their rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The government has already conducted a comprehensive investigation and holds a trove of files on Epstein. Berman called the 70 pages a diversion from the 100,000 pages already in the government's possession. The NFL kickoff is just around the corner, and if you're missing your Sunday football, well, you can tune into some preseason games this weekend with our Texas teams. On Friday, you can watch the Dallas Cowboys face off against the Atlanta Falcons starting at 7 p.m. on KVCT Fox 19. On Saturday, the Houston Texans take on the Detroit Lions. That game starts at noon and will air on the CW network.
Well, we got up to 97 degrees today, a lot more sun, a lot less rain chance, but by tomorrow, we're going to drop that to about 90, 92 because of more sun, less sun, more clouds, and more thunder showers. They're not that far away. We'll be talking about that and taking a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I mean, we were sort of going back and forth. We're not staying with the same weather, which is interesting because now frontal systems are beginning to move, and hopefully we're out of the dog days of summer pretty soon. You see right here a big line of showers and thunder showers coming down from North Texas. It's been slowly dropping southward all day long. This is the frontal system and a boundary line basically that's going to be dropping southward and giving us a pretty good chance for rain for the next couple of days. The big story along the country is that all the high pressure is on the west coast where they're getting hot. All the lower pressure is on the east coast, courtesy, not directly, but indirectly, of Erin, the tropical storm. So this frontal system will be following as Erin goes up the coast. And so the east coast is getting the first big break of the summer coming up as soon as next week. Now, there you see Doppler radar, the heaviest activity right now in Houston during rush hour. And then coming down through Wharton, where they've got a heavy thunderstorm right about there. You notice how this stuff just keeps following 59. So I'm saying that it's at about the I-10 corridor. By tomorrow, it'll be around our area. So you're going to be looking at scattered thunder showers tomorrow. Now, this is North Carolina. It was a sunny day, and yet the ocean was very angry. This is the outer wind and waves, and it's crossing over the barrier island. So the storm surge is coming up to about 3 feet even as we speak. It's going to be getting worse tonight. I hope the people who live here have already moved to higher ground because it may not be on top of them. It may not be a direct hit, but there are quite a bit of effects coming in from Erin. Now, the center of Erin and the land areas of the Carolinas here will be about 200 miles apart as its closest path, but it doesn't mean that they're going to get nice weather here at all. In fact, they're getting not only the angry surf, they're going to be getting some rain and wind, probably winds up to 50, 60 miles an hour overnight tonight as the storm passes through. By tomorrow, it should regain its strength up to a 3, and then it finally starts taking that turn that everybody's been waiting for. But I'm saying that from the Carolinas all the way to New England, they're going to be getting some rough seas, some rough surf, and so people need to be very cautious out there. Now, as far as the rest of the ocean is concerned, we have storm number F here, which would be Ferdinand, has a good potential 60% chance of developing and following Erin in its path. Then we have storm G here, which would be Gabrielle. That one's already getting formed in about 48 hours. And then we've got another one coming offshore. All of these basically covering the path of Erin. Now, for us, the next 6 to 10 days, what is this, a week and a half from now, we are going to be near normal right about here, but look at this, huge below normal. The average temperature should be in the 80s, 90s, and well, let's see, St. Louis will be in the mid to low 70s, overnight lows in the 60s as early touch of fall finally arrives there. Now here's the future rain totals. This is for tomorrow. You can see how the storms are going to be coming in from the northeast. So you're going to be looking at more rain tomorrow than we did today. And that is going to last for at least 2-3 days before we finally get out of it. So tomorrow we're looking for afternoon showers, a high of 92. More clouds will lower the temperature to 90 in Cuero with afternoon showers. And then the heaviest activity will be Thursday, Friday, beginning to decrease on Saturday, and then by Sunday, we're back to the sunny, hot, and humid. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. If you scan that with your phone, you can put Crossroads Today right there on your cell phone. And we'll toss it back to Shauna.
All right, well, now we send it over to Max Williams, who has our sports. Max.
That's right, Shawnee. Yesterday we had a thrilling 5-set matchup between the Calhoun Sand Crabs and the Industrial Cobras. We'll hear from the Calhoun Sand Crabs volleyball team about last night's game coming up in sport. Last night for Tuesday Night Volleyball Madness, we had a 5-set thriller between the Calhoun Sand Crabs facing the Industrial Crowbridge, and went all the way to 10 o'clock. Yes, we had to literally get the final score update going into our 10 o'clock show there last night. But both team captains and the underclassmen, they experienced this first 5-set match for both teams for the first time, and it was decided by just 2 points as Industrial would win 17-15 in that decisive 5th set. And after the game, after this back and forth contest that happened, we talked to senior captains for Calhoun, Layla Myers and then Kendall Gray, about how their team had to push through this kind of tough part of adversity and how they had to keep fighting all the way to the end.
Coming together after every point, whenever we go into a timeout, down or up, we're cheering when we come in, we're talking to each other, hyping each other up, just trying our best to stay positive.
She just keeps pushing us and reminding us that we got it and that we fought this hard just to get back into the game, so we just had to continue that all the way through.
Now, both these statements made by these players were kind of passed along from their head coach there for Calhoun and Caitlin Tynes. And again, they also want to fix a lot of their weaknesses that they kind of had from this game and all the way to the rest of the season. Now, tune in later for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. We're going to hear from the winners of this 5-set thriller, Industrial Cobras, about how they felt about winning this game, how that's going to translate over to the field. Now over to the St. Joseph Flyers, where a top volleyball player a couple days ago, Mayla Montgomery, committed to Concordia University to play volleyball there at the next level and pursue academics. And Montgomery heads up one of the top middle hitters and middle blockers for the Flyers up there this season. She describes how she felt committing to Concordia University and what were some of her factors for making this decision.
I'm excited to have a teammate that I know personally or around me that I can get to know better. It's very family oriented, so that's what I really like about it. I'm a very big family person, and the academics, they have my major, they have my minor, so I'm all set with that. And then the sports, big part.
Love that answer there from Maylee Copping. Keeping the family there, going over to Concordia, because she's going to have a teammate that she knows in out there in Isabella Bazell from Victoria West that she's going to be teaming out with going there to Concordia. And so before that happens, though, she wants to make one deep postseason run going into her senior year and then reach the state tournament that goes all the way later on into the fall. Now over to A&M Victoria men's and women's soccer teams, where today they traveled out to Kerrville to have their first scrimmages against Schreiner University. And both teams, they start their season on August 30th. Now these scrimmages, they will not have a score and update that I'll provide for you all, but this will be like more of a practice type scrimmage. So again, for both of these teams, they want to clear everything up, especially having 2 new coaches, obviously, for the men's and women's teams. Obviously for the women's team, hiring there Kimberly Utrecht, and then the men's team hiring in there Vince Martinez, hoping to make an impact. And then also shout out for the men's team and Curtis Watson. He's the new men's soccer assistant coach going into this season. And finally, Victoria West Warriors hosting the Meet the Warriors pep rally event. It's going to start at Memorial Stadium in just 30 minutes time. And again, this is where we're going to highlight all the top teams. Kind of saw that from East there on Monday, again, with their Unleash the Beast there pep rally. Same thing that's going to happen for Victoria West. Get to see all the teams go in there, get excited going the rest of the way. We'll get some of this footage and maybe hear from some of the athletes and people that are hosting this event for later on for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. And that's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
All right, thank you, Max. We are back in a moment. 2 dogs, 1 big title. How you can help decide which TSA canine makes the agency's calendar cover. The battle to become the TSA's top dog is down to a pair of Labrador retrievers. Alex helps keep staff and travelers safe at Denver International Airport, and Steeler, as his name hints, is a canine from Pittsburgh International. The agency says of the two, Alex is the healthier eater. He actually likes green beans. Steeler, meanwhile, prefers jumbo hot dogs from 7-Eleven convenience stores. Voting is underway, and the dog with the most tallies will land on the cover of the TSA's 2026 canine calendar. The winner will be announced next Tuesday, which is National Dog Day. So go ahead and mark that on your calendar. You can vote at TSA's website.
Steeler,
They're so cute. I don't know, how do you pick one?
Healthy though, with getting the hot dogs though. And,
I mean, it had to be a Labrador, right? They have the best faces. I vote for the first one.
I don't know. It's hard to pick.
Yeah, they're both kind of like I said.
Yeah.
But you can be part of the selection process. Folks, tomorrow we're going to pick up a lot more rain showers. We've got the little frontal system that's dropping down into the I-10 corridor, and it's going to wobble around there. So look for much more rain on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
All right, and a quick update to the story we had earlier about the law enforcement activity. An arrest has been made, so we'll be updating that and bring you the details. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.